all these babies nodding, so you get this really weird noise of 100 heads rubbing against 100 pillows. Hey, people. Lore Boys here. And today we'll be following up on an episode from the distant past of September 2019. I'm finally going to do part 2 of Gears of War, this time focusing on the enemies of the game, the Locust Horde, and their connection to Emulsion. My name is Peter O'Donohue, and I am joined with...
My name's Ethan Palmer, and I'm carrying Peter's baby, and Jamie thinks he's the father.
I think I'm the father, but I really don't want anything to do with that thing. So.
No, Jamie, you really wanted something to do with this baby, I'm sure. Everybody would want something to do with my baby, right?
So, like, what?
Throw hot sauce on it.
Yeah, I don't know the rules about babies, clearly, so I don't think I'm ready to have one.
When somebody has a baby with your best friend, you are legally required to be angry that you're not the father.
Oh.
Okay. Arr! I wish I had a kid.
Yes. Historically angry stepfather pirates. Anyway, everybody, it's more Gears of War. Welcome to the internet's #1 fake history podcast.
Can I just say, we missed a great opportunity. I know we said we weren't going to go back for jokes, but undo me belt, son. I can't do it with me peg arms. Would have been just a great.
To beat? Would you have to also tie the belt on the end of the peg so that he could beat you?
So he could actually beat you with.
Is that illegal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Being
Even
a pirate
if you have
is
a
illegal.
peg leg?
Being a pirate is illegal. So.
Oh, true.
Yeah, piracy is probably way more illegal than beating your kids.
You wouldn't download a beating for your child.
You wouldn't download your conception.
You know what? Actually, holy fuck!
I would download a conception because having sex is the boring part that I want to get. I just want to skip. Anyway, we're a fake history podcast, right?
The internet's #1 fake history podcast. So yeah, we're doing Gears of War Part 2. We did one last September, and then I basically completely forgot. So thank you to Nathaniel on Twitter for reminding me that I quite literally, on the subject of shitty dads, quite literally like left for smokes and was just like, yeah, I'll bring you back a second part of Gears of War 2. I just never did.
Right. Maybe the Locust got him.
Yeah, so if you guys could, just quick recap in case somebody doesn't want to go back and listen to our previous episode.
Links are
what do you
in the
guys remember? Links in the description, but what do you two remember, and have you guys played the games since
I've played
last
Gears of
year,
War
maybe?
1 and 2, I think. I remember from the last episode a sweet fuck all.
Yeah, it's a little too... the full year, I think, is throwing me for a loop, too. My memory's not always great, but it's especially not great after a year.
Very little has occurred between September 2019 and September 2020, so I'm frankly ashamed of you both for not being able to remember our episode about video games.
So I vaguely remember the title was something like Flowers for Algernon, but Hammers. It was Hammers for Ivan, right?
Oh, I remember the joke that they had a space station that instead of sending down the what's that type of metal that
Tungsten.
they plant tungsten rods, they send down
because that's
hammers.
a weapon in Gears of War. Is the Hammer of Dawn is the name of the weapon, right? And I don't know where Ivan comes from. I don't know where the joke Hammers or Flowers for Algernon. I don't know where that came in, but that's all I remember about the episode.
Yeah.
I know. So I know about Gears of War. There's locusts, which are like monsters that lived inside the earth. And one day something happened inside the earth, or Terra, I think it's called. And they were like, oh, now we got to go outside and we got to go to the surface. And then humanity has been dealing with these bugs that are coming to the surface, bug people.
Correct. So the previous episode dealt with the Coalition of Ordered Governments, or the COG, which is the human faction. That's your side in the video games. Now we're actually going to focus on the Locust and Emulsion, which is the fuel source that the, kind of cliched resource war setup for the entire universe is. And we're going to explain where the Locust came from, connection to emulsion itself, and then and that's basically it. Because we're going to catch up to the current trilogy, which is not finished. So we'll need Gears 6 to come out before we can polish off this old headlamp.
Okay. The current trilogy with a female lead? Is that right?
She's the majority of Gears 5, so she's not the de facto protagonist, but just like the first trilogy, the protagonists, one, depend on whether you're playing single player or multiplayer, or two, rotate here and there. But Kate is the main character of Gears 5.
Okay. Why do they put women in my games?
Yeah, so that's
what agenda are they pushing? Having a woman in my game?
That's the only reason I've never played. I think I've played multiplayer Gears 3 probably on like a friend's Xbox when I went to his place one time. I've definitely never played 4 or 5. But the only thing I remember about Gears of War 5 is the fact that a lot of lonely gamers got really mad that they made woman in video game.
Listen, I just don't personally believe that a woman can hold a gun, because as we all know, women don't have two hands.
Yeah, that is true. They have one hand and one spatula for all the cooking they do. Am I right, fellas?
But yes, here we are.
Here we are. Making jokes, obvious jokes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're just hack comedians on the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally. So the primary antagonist of the Gears franchise are a race of subterranean monsters that humans call the Locust. Like I said earlier, just about the other episode, it's about the governments. So if anything comes up that you don't understand and would like to click here to know more, there's an episode for you. So to explain the Locust, we need to first start to explain emulsion. Emulsion is a naturally occurring, glowing yellowish liquid found underneath the planet that Gears of War is set on. It's called Sera, not Terra.
So close.
Yeah, it's so like close. Legally distinct, basically. it's like, oh no, it's not Terra. That's Sarah.
Yeah.
It's like, my name's not Peter. I'm Cedar.
Yeah. Is that you, God? No, my name's Jod.
Just like looking at a woman on the writing team is just like, no, it's not set on Terra. It's in her name tag, because obviously like writing that her name tag's like Sarah, but it's spelled wrong. It's Sera. It's like
just one R. Okay.
Nouveau Sarah. Basically, if you want to be cool parents that guarantee your child is bullied, you would name her Sarah Sera, and frankly, you would deserve it.
Any single time somebody asks your daughter, or your daughter has to give her name, she has to spell it out.
Yeah. Ser. Listen, I'm just for any parents out there, spell your names, kids. Spell your kids' names properly. Okay.
Is it illegal to name your kid a really dumb thing?
In some
Sadly, no.
In some countries, it is. So I think Australia or New Zealand, there was like a case where somebody was like, "Oh, we want to name our kid like Crystal Pepsi or something," and they were like, "No, don't do that. It's not your life. Don't do that."
You can't just call your kid dumb fuck.
Yeah.
You just spell it a little different.
No.
I think in Canada, maybe. I don't know. What is I don't know if you can legally put a profanity in your kid's name, or if it'll just come out as asterisks on the birth certificate, you know?
You think the birth certificate machine has like a chat censorship machine where it can automatically detect curses?
We have way too many immigrants for that to be a thing, because like there's like so many languages that have swear words or whatever, that if you just took every language's swear words and X them out, then you probably couldn't be James. Maybe their AME means something bad somewhere.
James in Swedish means put something in my butt. I'm Jamesing it up there.
But it's a threat for some reason in Sweden.
Oh, okay.
Which is why it's illegal.
Yeah. Swedish, tell me all about it.
Yeah. Swedish people? Hit me up, huh?
So, like I said, emulsion's naturally occurring. It's known for being bright, smells nice. It's got a minty flavor, though that needs a citation.
Got to drink it a lot?
Oh, yeah. But what we don't know, it does look like Mountain Dew, though. So
hell yeah.
It's probably dangerous.
A world powered in a world powered by Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
There are only gamers.
There was always a rumor that Mountain Dew reduced your sperm count.
Yeah.
The whole time I was growing up. Is that real?
I heard that too growing up, but we did grow up in the exact same hometown at the exact same school, so maybe that's a local thing.
Honestly, if soda ruins your nuts, I don't think it has to be like a Mountain Dew, Pepsi sort of deal.
Yeah.
It's all fucking bad for you.
I like that tagline though. Mountain Dew, Baja Blast. It'll ruin your nuts.
Ruin your nuts.
Yeah. Honestly, that's kind of a good tagline.
In a world where soda ruins your nuts, the ground is made of Baja Blast.
So similarly to Baja Blast, where emulsion comes from is completely unknown. So it was discovered by humanity while they were drilling for lame fossil fuels like coal and oil, the regular flavors, basically. One theory is that on prehistoric Sarah, while the gigantic worms called rift worms were burrowing through the crust of the planet and digesting it, emulsion was created as a waste byproduct in the network of tunnels underneath the planet's crust called the Hollow.
It's worm poop.
Could be. They don't know, but that's the leading theory at this time. They're like, it's probably mold that grows on worm poop because worms ate the planet, and now the planet's full of emulsion.
Good.
For most of the planet's history, emulsion was just a scientific curiosity. It was just another glowing volatile goo for the glowing volatile goo pile. They were just like, whatever. Right? Snore. It's just leave it there.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Gary's Goo Store. Get your volatile goo. We got volatile goo. We got sticky goo. We got clear goo. We got smelly goo.
Well, the idiom on Sarah is a bull in a volatile goo shop, which is it's just everywhere.
And it explodes when you hit it.
Yeah, exactly.
Got goo code red, goo Baja Blast.
Oh,
got
yeah.
it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gamer goo.
That's a thing. Gamer goo to clean your keyboard or something. Or no, it's to put on your hands.
Buddy, isn't it?
Oh, I forget, actually.
Do you fuck it?
Alexa, what's gamer goo?
Do you put it over your eyes to make Call of Duty not scorch your retinas?
Yeah. It's what
like those stupid glasses.
It's like when you go to a spa and they give you like a face mask and like cucumbers. Gamers put gamer goo on there to give themselves acne and oily skin.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's a paste type thing for your hands that makes your hands less sweaty for while you play.
Oh, the opposite.
And you can
I see. Yeah, it's an antiperspirant for sweaty gamers.
It's like the chalk bags that climbers use, except it's
I don't know.
There's no exercise involved. Thank God, it's so much better.
Okay, my interaction with goo in my life has been admittedly very limited, but all the goo that I've experienced, I don't know how any of it makes your hands less slimy, like less gooey.
I watched Mizkif use it on stream, and he just it apparently didn't feel good. It made your hands it's less sweaty, yes, but there's something on your hands.
Less slimy, less sweaty, more slimy.
It seems like it would make your hands tacky to bind to the thumbsticks better, right?
Yeah.
Or
I was thinking more sticky, but it's
If they're a sponsor, Gamer Goo, crunch at us. We'll fucking test it out.
Yeah.
And
less sweat, more slime. We got the tagline for you.
Yeah, there you go.
When you Google Gamer Goo, the first thing that comes up is Gamer Goo safe. And as long as you don't ingest Gamer Goo or get it in your eyes, Gamer Goo is safe.
Is it safe?
On your hands is like a direct link to getting it in your eyes. Because what if you sneeze or fucking rub your face?
Well, I mean, what they say is don't rub your face. Is what when they say don't get it in your eyes, they mean don't rub your eyes after using it.
I'm just saying, don't buy Gamer Goo unless you're unless you're
looking for a podcast to sponsor.
Sponsor. That's it. Sorry, I drew a blank on that one. Bad pitch.
It's hot.
Anyway,
it's end of September and it's really hot today.
It is 25. It is.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I haven't gone outside much.
Yeah, I had to go buy beer. So, in regards to the goo for the story here, emulsion, just a curiosity. Nobody cared. Up until this is covered way more in the last episode, by the way. Dr. Helen Cooper was up on one of her late night science binges and created the light mass process, which refined emulsion into a super efficient fuel source, solving the planet's current and or impending energy crisis, where Sarah was running pretty low on gas and solar panels are stupid or whatever.
Sure.
Sarah doesn't have a sun or wind, so they couldn't possibly do literally anything else.
The sun emits a different kind of sunlight, so not energy sunlight.
This will probably help for Earth later on too, because they figured out a way to put the Baja Blast through the gamers, and then you burn the gamers, and it's more efficient than oil.
Yeah, I support that decision.
The emulsion is just
that
a big
charcoal
pool.
grill? No, that's a gamer grill, and it's just fucking button-up shirts with dragons on them, just like
Yeah.
So naturally, their new fuel source was valuable, but the riftworms apparently preferred giant 8-mile wide litter boxes within the planet and didn't just shit willy-nilly. So emulsion wasn't available everywhere in equal measure. Exactly like fuel on Earth. So biological, geological, and luck factors heavily into distribution of fossil fuels on Sarah, as it does here. A real world trivia: Quebec is located on the Canadian Shield, so that's where we live, which is made of rocks that predate life. So we don't have the same kind of fossil fuel reserves that something like Alberta would have. Yeah. Alberta has a lot of tar sands, which is oil based, whereas we have a lot of mineral resources and hydroelectric dams in Quebec, because Quebec is older than life, so you can't decompose before you exist, basically.
Burying our friends and family have been quite awkward because they don't decompose; they just stand there.
Yeah, in Quebec, we just leave the corpses of our loved ones all over the streets.
Personally, I like to throw them into our hydroelectric dams that are so abundant.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very laissez-faire attitude around here.
We're too busy smoking and being French.
Yeah.
So sci-fi geology, in the case of Sarah, has the same rules. So lots of long-buried Taco Bell and Subway tuna. So the riftworms were particularly incontinent under the continent, basically.
Okay.
This led to rich countries and poor countries, obviously, which led to the pendulum wars.
So unlike our Earth, huh?
Unlike our Earth, where everything's fine, there are no rich countries and no poor countries. Just for some phony baloney conflict here on Sarah, there are some rich countries and some poor countries. Okay. This led to the pendulum wars and the foundation of the Coalition of Ordered Governments, or the COG, which is what our entire last episode is about. So that's your Spark Notes if you don't want to go back, but I suggest you do, because we're still funny back then.
That's the end of the review period. Yeah, and that was we had decent sound quality on the last episode. I know some of our older episodes, the sound quality was a little rougher, but it was probably better sound quality than we have now because we were in person. And I feel like our timing was better. Maybe we were funnier, you know?
Yeah, younger, sexier, funnier, all the good things.
More virile. Mm-hmm.
Definitely more virile.
I don't like evaluating myself. Let's just move on.
Jay's like, I don't want to talk about what's happened during quarantine.
One of the things that the current COVID pandemic has taken away from me personally is the ability to go to the gym and be exposed to fossil fuels, since exposure is healthy and recommended by doctors from Texas to Iran. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
On Sarah, it's fictitious, so it's not like real life, that's a good idea. The people who were actually extracting the emulsion began to develop a respiratory condition called rust lung, so named due to the brown shit that miners and their families would cough out.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to sing Rust Lung in the tune of Headstrong, but I have a feeling I did that last episode. That felt way too comfortable, like an old glove. I probably already said it already, yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine just some old emulsion baron just sitting at his mahogany desk drinking a clean glass of water. He's just like, I don't know what all these miners are complaining about. I feel fine. I've never personally mined emulsion, but don't worry about it. Boop. Mr. Baron, your blowjob secretary is here. Yes, send her in. Sorry to cut this union meeting short, gentlemen.
Yeah. Don't cough at me.
Yeah, exactly. Go cough outside. So, Sarah was faced with a new issue. We need emulsion, and we need people to get it for us, so we need to cure rust lung or find a way to prevent it, because sick days are the enemy of industry.
Or invent robots.
Yeah, I don't know why. There are robots in Gears 4. And like Jack is your kind of plot hole robot in the Gears trilogy, where he's just he's the robot who hacks doors for you. And he goes invisible so he could never be shot. Basically, it's just human labor's fine.
Oh my! You don't want the poor people to have idle hands, because then they'll get ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Poor people are the devil's playground, or however that fucking saying goes.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds horribly right.
That's correct. So, the COG Department of Health opened the New Hope Research Facility to store orphans who had lost their parents to rust lung. Publicly, New Hope was known as the Jameson Shipping Facility, since the lab was classified and the COG never told people what the fuck they were doing.
Okay. That's a good way to instill trust in your population, is to not tell them about your psyops, right?
Obviously. I mean, but also if the population doesn't know you're lying, then it's still technically totally fine, right?
The truth.
Think of all the things we don't know now. Yeah. Think of all the truth that we don't currently have and how concerning that probably is.
I don't want to think about it, Peter. I do everything. I do everything I can to not think about it. Okay.
Oh my god.
Baja Blast and forget all about that.
I was just gonna say, dude, I gotta drink up.
Why? No. There's no sick orphans in these containers. This is just last year's calendars, which will be safely disposed of in the mountains.
I have
Can't
to.
risk people having it's last year, you know.
I have to drink up my Mountain Dew and assume my sperm count is fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Then when it's time to do the do, you'll find out whether or not it works. You know?
That was a dog whistle the whole time. They've actually just been making fun of us.
doing the do is shooting a load of infertile mess.
Just blanks. What? You never heard the term shooting blanks?
No, but what Ethan said before that.
Oh, I see.
Ethan's name used to be Ethan Shooting Blanks Palmer on social media.
That was my nickname back in high school. Shoot blanks.
got a cap gun in one hand, got a bottle of Mountain Dew in the other. Unrelated. So the man put in charge of New Hope, or Jameson Shipping, if you ask the newspapers, was Dr. Niles Sampson. Okay. He was a famous researcher throughout the Pendulum Wars. He was even invited to Azura, which was a research facility on an island protected by an artificial hurricane, which, honestly, mad science aside,
seems ominous.
Pretty fucking cool.
That's pretty badass,
Yeah.
Bad stuff happens on that island. If there's a permanent hurricane that protects it, bad stuff happens on that island. That's the one thing I know about fiction.
A hurricane to keep people out of their business, I'd guarantee there's some bad shit going down there.
Right?
Yeah. Like, I get a little suspicious of anywhere that has a barbed wire fence. If I walk past a place that just had a fucking hurricane around it, I'd be like, what the fuck is they doing here?
A hurricane, they just throw a bunch of barbs into it, so it's basically a barbed wire fence anyway.
Like a barbed wire hurricane?
Barbed wire hurricane is the worst. Dude, 2020's been bad, but wait till next year when the hurricane hits the barbed wire factory.
Oh, Christ, I was going to say, there's going to be some kind of fucking tornado in Arkansas that hits a barbed wire factory, and it's just like, well, this is we planned for this.
It's not bull in an emulsion shop, it's hurricane in a barbed wire factory.
Yeah, it's just like...
And right next to the barbed wire factory is the the Pop Rocks factory. I stumbled through that so badly.
Yeah.
Never mind.
If you put
I was gonna say, once you got hit by barbed wire, then you get Pop Rocks in your wounds. Ouch.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought you were saying it was illegal.
It would just be like all the rain. It would just be constantly hissing while it whips barbed wire all over.
How ominous!
Crackle,
snap, crackle, and pop. I thought you were my friends. They're goth now, and they're part of the Pop Rocks brand.
So, this is a story my mom used to tell me about Pop Rocks. You know, they didn't always used to be like powder. It used to be like a jawbreaker. And the game that her and her friends would play in elementary school was basically to just see who could swallow the most. And they would just sit there and choke and laugh as a solid chunk of Pop Rocks, like, just
dissolved in their throat. Like you jam in too much and holding your breath until they dissolve.
LA Beast must have something on that, right?
Yeah.
He probably drank a gallon of Pop Rock.
Pop Rocks and Baja Blast. He just like blows in half. Just like clean bleached spine holding him up like he's a Mortal Kombat character.
Someone did 350 packs of Pop Rocks, which is 14,000 calories. It wasn't him, though.
Can you put that in the chat? I want to see that later.
yeah, definitely.
Dr. Niles Sampson goes to Azura. They've got their barbed wire hurricane. They've got all their Pop Rocks experiments. And Azura is actually where the third game ends, and where Adam Phoenix, father to the original trilogy's protagonist Marcus, had been living in secret while he was assumed dead. Early observations on the sick orphans show that most cells were degraded or destroyed. However, emulsion exposure had actually mutated some cells into stronger versions of themselves. This led Sampson to the conclusion that if he injected children with emulsion, he may be able to improve the human being.
Well, I mean, so just picturing Marcus from Gears of War, and I mean, any of the characters from Gears of War, they're just like muscle on muscle. Like it's obscene.
In canon, that's an artistic choice. Thankfully, Marcus has not been injected with gasoline, basically, to make him stronger.
I just love the idea that Samson saw Arthur Phoenix's kid and was like, I want my fucking super people to look like that, and just started fucking injecting them with all sorts of stuff. Or Adam, not Arthur, sorry.
Yeah. So he noticed the cell mutation he noticed when just like kind of studying sick children. He was just like, oh, that's interesting. How, I mean, some of these muscles are actually kind of cool. Maybe we could, what if we just sprinkle in a little emulsion into the orphan gruel, and then it's so weird that Oliver Phoenix Twist that could, every time he asked for more, they just kept slopping on more porridge.
more radioactive green porridge.
Exactly. It's like, you orphans sure are hungry.
Why is my oatmeal blue and carbonated?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Shut up and eat your pop. I mean your gruel.
The fucking stovepipe top hat orphan house guy is just sitting there, but it's like just a can of Mountain Dew instead of a top hat on his head. So Samson and another Dr. Torres discovered that one of the captured children was not only immune to rust lung and emulsion exposure, but she actually benefited from being exposed to the chemical. This little girl's name was Mira, so remember that. Okay. Dr. Sampson, being a scienceman, was like, cool, that's one step closer to the edge, and I'm about to have a scientific break.
Beautiful.
Thank you. The team at New Hope actually ended up coming to the early stages, at least, of some non-evil conclusions after this. Because they were like, well, there's a bunch of animals that already live in the Hollow. There is indigenous life underground, right? And from what we understand, Sarah is not a colonized planet. It's just a replacement for Earth. So there's just regular animals that live underground, and they're already exposed to emulsion.
Okay.
And so, I mean, you can't ask animals questions, but we're just going to assume they haven't been poisoned, I guess.
So we know there's worms because the worms produce the emulsion. And
people have also seen riftworms. Like, they're a thing that people know about.
I'm guessing we're getting to the creation of the locusts, and there's not endemic locusts like underneath the ground.
That is correct.
Okay.
So yeah, they were just like, there's animals, there's emulsion, they seem to coexist. Cool. Why don't we take some samples, study them, and then try and combine the DNA of the local wildlife with the kids that we have here? Seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to do.
So literally, they're like, there's moles that can live underground. Let's combine mole blood with human blood and create mole men.
Yes.
Locusts are mole men is what we're getting at here.
Pretty much, yeah.
Canonically.
Yeah. Hans Mole Man is a locust from The Simpsons. So why did that go off the rails so quickly? Why did they go from just like, well, I mean, like, vaccination that we have today is partially named after French for vache, as far as I know, which is cow, because the cowpox culture was cultivated or whatever by the guy who invented vaccines.
Edward Jenner, the man who created the smallpox vaccine, noticed that milkmaids seem to, if they got smallpox, the type of smallpox they got was not nearly as bad. It didn't kill them, and they didn't weren't horrifically scarred like people who got smallpox were. And it's because they got cowpox, which is similar enough to smallpox that you can vaccinate against smallpox using cowpox.
So this guy drew the exact same conclusion. He was just like, well, on Earth they have enough healthy, busty milkmaids, thankfully.
You mean on Sarah?
Oh yeah, Sarah was lousy with busty milkmaids. It's great. But they drew the same conclusion. But why did it go off the rails so quickly? It's not like that. It's not like Dr. Jenner wanted to create cowmen or big-tittied cow milkmaids that just milk themselves, which is more efficient.
Okay, there is no historical proof that Dr. Jenner did not want to create more busty cowmaids. Busky.
Yeah, busky. It's like, I just want to cure the plague. All I want is for big-tittied girls to beg for change playing guitar on the street.
Is that so wrong?
Is that so wrong? So, Dr. Sampson had gone off the rails to creating mole people very quickly, but why? There was a splinter faction within the COG that wanted the genetic manipulation to be used for militaristic purposes. Obviously. He's just like, huffing gas makes you strong, also sick, but if we could just keep it at strong, could we have better army?
Sounds science to me.
Sounds pretty science to me, exactly. So why stop at just strong, healthy kids? Why not, make strong, healthy soldier as well? I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah.
So Samson was a seasoned spitballer and was like, yeah, let's do it. You just play a little skins versus shirts spitball out with the boys.
Gross.
Seasoned spitballer made me think of someone who never brushes their teeth but also shoots spitballs.
Seasoned.
Ew. Even worse. The early results of these experiments were what the mainstream media today would call either negative or the genesis of berserk and dangerous monsters, depending on the channel you're watching.
Okay, yeah, I mean, tomato, potato, am I right?
Exactly. Samson designated these beings as sires, and figuring the COG wouldn't be too pleased with the creation of monsters, because really it was just a group of secret extremists who asked him to create monsters. The government itself was just like, can you just either cure it or make it give immunity so we can keep strip mining our entire planet, please? Yeah. Is that so wrong? And then some guy was just like, can you make knights?
Yeah. It's bad when the government is like, hey, chill on the soldiers, dude. Just do it.
Exactly.
Just do it for the capitalist war, like the capitalist machine, not the war machine this time.
Yeah, exactly. Look, this is just an industrial complex. Okay, we're not crazy.
Yeah.
So basically, Samson and his remaining team moved their subjects, experiments, and equipment to Mount Kadar, which we talked about last time, where they had set up a second facility, secret to even their previous secret facility. So they're getting pretty covert at this point.
Okay, this one's behind a monsoon.
It's within the barbed wire hurricane.
Oh, it's within the hurricane?
No, it's not on Azura. Azura is an island. It's on the main continent.
Yeah. This one's a razor wire hurricane.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's just like it's a tornado, and it's just full of tasers. It's constantly buzzing.
Tornado full of tasers.
Or just like pepper spray. Oh no! Well, you don't want to go. Don't go to Mount Kadar. That's where the pepper spray tornado is. You thought the barbed wire hurricane was bad. Oof.
Did you ask me what the harder difficulties were called on Risk of Rain last week? And if I had these in my back pocket, it would have been easier. Tornado full of tasers. Yeah. Hurricane of barbed wire. No, monsoon is where it stops for that guy.
So within Mount Kadar, they would continue creating hybrids, now adding the stem cells of Mira, the girl with the emulsion immunity that I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. And this, I mean, you called it with the Mole Man thing. This led to the creation of the Locust Horde. Mm-hmm. Dr. Torres, who I again mentioned earlier, as she aged, as Mira aged, Torres as a man, Dr. Torres developed a relationship with Mira over time, and they even had a daughter together named Reina Diaz.
Risk of Reina, gotcha.
Risk of Reina.
Diaz. Yeah, well, Diaz is a name from the games, though, right? Isn't one of the guys Diaz?
I think it's a Spanish name.
So Dominic Santiago is your main man. But I mean, the game is an American game, so they use like common names you would find in the States. They have Hispanic names, they have American names. The main guy's Phoenix, which is stupid, but whatever.
I was thinking of Dominic, not instead of Diaz.
Dom Santiago. So anyway, Torres and Mira develop a relationship over time because Mira wasn't treated horribly as far as a science orphan goes, I guess.
Yeah, as far as being an orphan who had scientific experiments run on you, it wasn't so bad, you know. I was one of the privileged orphans.
She did.
They just took stuff out of me. They didn't put anything in me, you know.
Yeah, she was more of like a harvesting platform for stem cells, not so much like an injected with gasoline sort of girl. You know, it's
no, it wasn't that bad. They just had to draw my bone marrow every 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but I had a bunk bed, but instead of a second kid underneath, it was like a little desk. So honestly, I think I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah. That is the dream as a kid, right? Like...
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I know a guy who built his own in the apartment that he was living in, like before he moved back to Halifax during COVID. He had like built himself a bed above his desk because he just had like a small room in his apartment.
Good for him.
Hell yeah.
I don't like sleeping on the top bunk. I'm always scared of falling. And also, after a long day, I don't want to climb a ladder before my rest.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I spent all day climbing the ladder, am I right?
In other news, eventually, Dr. Torres began to regret and fear his creations. It makes sense. And after some experiments on his daughter to see if emulsion immunity was hereditary, he fled the lab on Mount Kadar with Reyna. So he had his baby with Mira. They did some experiments on her, and he was just like, cool, you know, push the envelope a little too far here, fellas. I'm going to hit it, if you don't mind.
I'm getting uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like, experiments on my daughter? I mean,
now
orphans are one thing.
Yeah.
This child has parents, damn it. She has rights.
Yeah. This seems morally wrong all of a sudden because I'm directly involved in it. Yeah. I'll still vote Republican. It's fine.
Mount Kadar is a swing mountain more than anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. So your vote doesn't really matter. Okay, I gotcha.
He couldn't take Mira with him, though. So Torres didn't manage to get his lover. He only got his daughter. Okay. Dr. Sampson, a therapist, told Mira that Torres and Reyna had both been killed in an escape attempt. He's like, no. Your lover and daughter are dead, and we did it.
Yeah.
In response, Mira made the Locusts rise up, like the gamers we talked about earlier, and slaughter the science team, Sampson included.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I love how he's like, I have this great plan, okay? So her kid was immune. I have a feeling it might have something to do with her uterus, so I'm going to keep her around to try and get her to have another baby. She's like, you know what? Him and everybody else has to die. Just like, my plan backfired on me, you know?
Damn.
We all agreed we would tell her that we killed her family. And how did this go wrong?
Yeah. Why is she so upset about it? I thought she'd want to sleep with one of us.
In response, like I said, however, Sampson kind of got away with it because he had already backed up his brain into the cloud, and he lives on as a creepy face on a CRT TV screen up until the events of Gears of War 2, where you can actually interact with the AI that he made of himself.
Okay, cool. Nice. Good for him.
Due to the use of her stem cells, Mira could control the previously belligerent Locust using a psychic link, which is likely why people say it is immoral today to experiment with stem cells due to the reasonable fear of creating witch queens.
Okay, not the horde of monsters, but the witch queen at their head.
Well, the witch queen is the valid fear today in modern times. That's why stem cells are a controversial topic now, IRL. On Sarah, they already did create their witch queen.
Yeah, okay. I gotcha. But people today what people today should be afraid of is the hordes of monsters, not a strong, independent woman with a horde of monsters, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wrote BuzzFeed journalist moments before being torn to shreds by monsters. The last article published on BuzzFeed.
At behest of Witch Queen.
Mira and her cannibalistic monsters.
Yeah. He told me to stay tuned for what number 5 was, and he only wrote to number 4.
Number 5 will literally rip your head off.
Yeah, all the collectible BuzzFeed articles in Gears 2 were the hint to that, right? The Locust Horde then tunneled into Sarah and established a capital city called Nexus within the hollow of the planet. So after killing the science team, Mira was just like, we're done fucking with these clowns. Let's just have our own society. Also, I control the hive, so I don't know why I'm suggesting things.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm saying let's just. I should be saying we will. And maybe say this because she's like sitting her like little locust children down, being like, listen up, okay? The society that I came from kind of repressed me in a lot of ways. So I'm going to use a lot of verbiage that isn't really appropriate for me being your telepathic queen, okay?
Exactly.
I just need you guys to look past that. I need you guys to just like, when I say we should, I mean we have to do this. And you guys are going to obey me because I have a telepathic link that I can command you with, right?
Exactly.
Sounds good? I think you guys should say that this sounds good.
All these babies nodding, so you get this really weird noise of 100 heads rubbing against 100 pillows. I'm going to say a lot of old language, like we, I think, do you. It's all meaningless. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Ignore that.
I'm Kerrigan, and you guys are the Zerg, so we cool? Cool.
Yeah, exactly. The Locusts use a combination of human-like technology, so they use a lot of ballistics. They use grenades, bullet-based guns, and like metalworking, basically, as well as the wildlife within the Hollow to get things done. So all of the war machines, the Locust war machines in game, are cybernetically augmented or armored Hollow wildlife that have been integrated into the society using Mira's psychic abilities and like Locust dog trainers, basically. So they could tame, in quotes, some of the wildlife of the Hollow. You'll notice in game some enemies can just go ballistic and kill the people or kill the Locust around them. Okay. Because it's pretty much like the Brumac is a dinosaur that they put guns on. Yeah, it's not reliable.
Okay.
It's if you're court-martialing someone and the Brumac is the only witness, you're not going to want him to answer
the
questions.
problem is when you get him into the court, he can't put his hand on the Bible because his arms are so small. So he can't swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
I'd never trust a T-Rex. That's why my mom told me that.
So you definitely told us about the Brumac. And I do love the idea of just like shooting an enemy in the brain, but only damaging the part that is their their telepathy gland that links to their brood mother or whatever. And so then they just go berserk and start killing everything.
Oh, like you accidentally give him free will and he goes crazy.
And as we know, anybody who gets free will instantly start murdering everybody they've ever known.
Everyone around them.
In their immediate vicinity.
Yeah. Don't vote, buy gold.
That's the Lore Boys investing tips.
Yeah. Don't listen to me.
Yeah. Don't invest in a future for your country. Just buy gold.
Yeah. Turns out, however, that the assumed immunity of the wildlife may not have been much of an immunity after all. A condition called lambency started to appear in the Locust and the monsters of the Hollow after decades of prolonged exposure. So did something change?
Sperm count went down.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
It's like there's emulsion in the water or something, you know? It's making everyone's sperm count so low. Mountain Dew, right?
The Michael Moore Locust that no one listens to, and he's just like, I'm trying so hard. Lambency modifies the appearance and behavior of the locust and the animals of the Hollow. These newly mutated locusts were just called lambents. So basically, early lambency is kind of like glowing veins on your muscle structure. So obviously, because the locusts are mutated to be very strong, they're all they're shredded, right? So they've got like lambent bicep muscles, and like you can see the veins in their musculature kind of glowing originally.
Okay.
Regardless of whether it is early or late stage lambency, when they die, they explode.
Damn.
So that was a big fucking problem.
That sounds familiar too, and I bringing it back to the games now. I feel like when you play the games and you gun chainsaw through somebody, I feel like they do just kind of like, no.
So lambents do appear in all three games. Lambency, so it's kind of the three-way war thing that a lot of Xbox games had. Like, you know, you have Halo, which is the Covenant and Humanity, which is like the surface level, easy to understand one. Then you have the Flood.
Sure, yeah. Rock, paper, scissors, right?
Yeah, you've got gun, laser, parasite.
Yeah.
Lambency serves a similar function without the whole giant lizard that speaks in rhymes thing that Halo had, right?
Sure.
So you've got human.
We never did a flood
Locust
episode, so I don't know that.
lanterns. Well, you played Halo 2. You have the conversation with the big thing.
This is from Halo 2. I do not remember this at all. I played Halo 2 a lot, but I played
Never mind.
almost exclusively multiplayer because I'm a gamer, okay? I'm not a fake gamer girl like you. I'm playing single-player games? Come on.
So, the Lambent War then took place because the behavior changed, which cut the Lambent Locust off from Mira's psychic powers, so she could no longer control the Horde, and all of a sudden they had differing opinions on whether or not it was polite or not to explode at your own funeral, killing your family.
Yeah, I'd say polite. It's your funeral.
Yeah, it's my funeral. Explode if I want to.
Yeah, Nancy Sinatra.
Yeah, I'll have a closed but then opened casket during the
Yes. Porque no los dos blows up.
Should we leave the casket open? Oh no, he'll do it himself.
Oh yeah. The Lambent War took place without the knowledge of humans on the surface of Serra, and actually led to the siege of the Nexus. So there was an entire civil war between Locust and the wildlife down there that they could control when they developed lambency, and there was a siege of the Nexus. So Mira, desperate for a solution, kidnapped a scientist named Adam Phoenix while he was on an expedition to find his wife who had been studying the Hollow. Unbeknownst to him, the Locust had already captured and executed his wife. So,
Good.
So Mira asked Adam for help. Probably left that out, I would assume.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, Adam, is it? Nice to meet you. Okay, so I'm kind of the queen of the Locusts here. Now, my origin story started because my husband and or lover was killed. I want to get this out there. I want to be the one to tell you I kind of killed your wife, but I need your help. So, same team? Same team?
Dead spouse?
Dead spouse team?
I love your bit here because when Mira asked Adam for help, she actually kind of invented the Lore Boys podcast on Sarah because she just gave Adam an exposition dump about her origin story.
Yeah.
So she did it up. She was just like, yo, listen, here's my phone. I downloaded it already. Sit in that room and listen to it. Kind of funny.
Listen to the first half of this episode.
Yeah. So can I get some help from you?
Sure.
When I was 3 years old, my parents left me in a lab.
Oh my God.
It seems like unprompted. Like, why?
Well, you poor thing. I'm really willing to help because you said your parents at 3 years old left you in a lab.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of her company is just a bunch of shrieking monsters, so she might be just happy to have some conversation, right?
Yeah. She talks too much, where they just won't let it go. And he's just like, yeah, I'll help you. And she's like, okay. So then when I was a teenager, there was this other orphan named Brittany, and she was anyway, she just wasn't very nice. And one day she told me that my outfit looked ugly, and Adam's just there like, oh yeah, okay, I'll help you. What do you need? Mm-hmm.
He's being restrained by two giant crabs. He's like, yeah, man, that's great.
giant underground crabs.
Yeah. Or he's completely bound up in a centipede because there's these big centipede monsters. He's like, yeah, that's cool. I have the best story. The leg poking him in the nose. So she gives an exposition dump apparently, and then it's just like, hey man, as you can see, I'm very dangerous. What with my army of monsters, I need you to find a cure for lambency because we left you alone up until this point, despite the war crimes that put us here.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, cool. What happens if I can't help? She's like, well, I'm going to set an arbitrary time limit. And if that's not met, I'm just going to genocide the surface world so we can escape the Lambent.
Yeah. Sounds fair.
Yeah.
Also, haven't seen your wife.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's like, I didn't say I was married.
Oh, okay. Good. Because I haven't seen her.
Yeah. How the fuck would she know if he hadn't mentioned it? She's just like, sees a ring on the finger, and it's just like, we did kill a lady recently.
Yeah.
Should we just...
Haven't seen your dead wife.
Yeah. Yeah. Dead.
Never mind.
That's not her name. I can't remember her name. It's in the last episode.
Sure. Go back and listen.
So Adam sets to work. The result he got was not the one that he expected, however. What he didn't find was a cure for lambrency that Mira wanted. What he did find was that emulsion was not a neutral party either. It isn't just a gas or a liquid.
Okay, sure.
What it actually is a parasitic fungal colony and a living thing that is slowly digesting and killing the entire planet.
Okay. You kind of tipped this at the beginning because I said it's worm poop, and you're like, yeah, it's a bacteria that lives on worm poop, or like a fungus that lives on worm poop or something. And I was like, why did he change that? My joke was fine, but now I realize it's because you were burying the lead, as it were.
Yeah, I sure was, because it's just like, haha, I left out the part where emulsion had a social security number this whole time and an address. It was like, we should have known.
Emulsion is actually its nickname. If you look at its birth certificate, its nickname is just asterisk, 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 asterisk. So
yeah, it's a bunch of curse words.
It was a cuss word. Yeah, it was a cuss word.
Place of birth underneath your floor mat in your bathroom.
Yeah. Place of birth, your mama's bed.
Yeah. Oh. So, Lore Boy's canon, emulsion evolved itself past the Locust immunity to poison the Horde and carry on consuming the planet, but with guns this time. So maybe not.
I love the idea of a mushroom evolving a gun. You know,
it's kind of like the cordyceps in The Last of Us, where they evolved to infect humans, right? So the fact that a fungus, like, it's alive, so if it just wants to reproduce, the idea that it would evolve past immunity one day. It's not like the Locust were worried about, I don't know, huffing gas for some fucking reason. They were just like, well, we escaped those scientists who were injecting us with gas. I guess we're fine now.
I was looking up mushrooms with guns, and I found on wildmushroomshunting.org why I carry a gun while mushrooming. So I guess someone ran into...
For the mushrooms, it's probably for the pigs.
Feral hog, 30 to 50 feral hogs, man.
True.
Yeah, for real, though, yeah.
They do it in East Coast Canada, and they ran into some big wildlife, apparently. I'll get in. That'll be the next episode. We'll get into mushrooming.
I mean, we might have talked about 30 to 50 wild hogs on the last episode of Gears of War, because it was last summer, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it came up
that time. Around that time.
One of the titles of our episodes is that one of the Command and Conquer ones is 30 to 50 Tiberium hogs.
Yeah,
so, there you go.
Yeah,
but that was much more recent. I think that was a dated reference at the time.
Just
like it's a dated reference while we're telling it now.
2020.
Late 2020. Q4 2020.
So if you're ever going mushrooming, bring a gun, but don't get infected, because then that mushroom will also have a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's officer, please. A mushroom got my gun and he's at my door.
It's just they infect you with spores and they're just like, give me your gun. Give me your gun, Jonathan. I don't want a mushroom.
You bury a handgun in a bunch of peat. It's like that's subjective. So, the reason lambency took hold within the Locust is not explained. So this is official, like, Lore Boys canon and real fan canon. I think it was like an evolution thing where it just eventually got to the point where the wildlife in Sarah had been exposed to emulsion for so long that it eventually could become a parasitic, cordyceps style fungus that could then control. Yeah,
it takes them mutating once, and then it can infect everyone, right? Like,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
The idea.
Considering it's not just a chemical; it's a living thing. Sure, it evolved.
Yeah,
which is strange considering Sarah's only 2,000 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Created by our Lord and Savior.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Big worm man under the ground.
It's a novel fungi.
So the Locust actually worship the rift worms as creator gods because they're understood to have shit out emulsion.
Okay.
And emulsion gives the Locust their power, right?
Can I say I love that I blindly got that right?
Yeah. I think it's also called like the Trinity of Worms or something, but I didn't look into the religion of the Locust at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great name for a religion, though.
I play a lot of Worms Armageddon. Like, count me in.
Put mushrooms in my brain because I'm into it.
Yeah.
Adam Phoenix had managed to create a kill everything touched by emulsion button while he was kind of being held on Azura, but that's not exactly what Mira had asked for. She wanted a kill the lambent button, not a kill emulsion button, because the Locust, despite not being lambent, were still tied to Emulsion itself. And since this is what she asked for, she kept her side of the bargain and invaded the surface world. This is known as Emergence Day or E-Day, which again is in the last episode because this is the most important event prior to the video games.
Yeah, for the cog, right?
For the cog. For the series as a whole, every single game, including I think the prequel, which is Gears Judgment, takes place after E-Day. It is the thing. There is like a brief sequence in Gears 3 during the Pendulum Wars, which I think is the only time outside of PvP where you fight human enemies.
Okay.
That I recall, where it's like when you go get the Hammer of Dawn so that you could just blow up poor people, basically.
I think even in PvP, you play Cog versus Locust, no?
Yeah, it is red versus blue, but in the newer ones, I think you get to buy skins or some shit. I have no fucking idea.
Okay, yeah.
My dad got Game Pass before I did, so I have not played Gears 4 and 5.
Cogs win.
But I will.
Cogs win.
Right. Eventually, humanity got desperate enough to hit that button, though, and wipe out Emulsion and everything touched by it seemingly forever. Emulsion, kind of kicked its evolution into high gear because it began growing huge stalks out of the ground after further mutating the Locust into tentacle mushroom monsters. So Gears 3, the Lambent are the main enemy, and it just grows out of the ground. If you damage certain parts of enemies, the arm will just blow off and a Lambent tentacle comes out and they turn into much more horrible monsters.
Frick.
One of the things that got killed when they hit the kill Emulsion button was also Adam Phoenix, however, because he had been experimenting on himself. So he had kind of been he only had one guy left on Azura within the barbed wire hurricane to do tests on. So he was like, well.
Okay, so he's not still underground working with the Queen of the Swarm.
No. So I may have passed over it too quickly. After making the deal with Mira to just be when she was cure lambency, he was like,
oh yeah,
can do.
She gave him a deadline and he didn't hit the deadline. That's why E-Day happens. Gotcha.
Correct. Yes, exactly. But he was working on Azura, the barbed wire hurricane.
The whole time he was studying above. And he was just his calendar fell off the wall or something and he never bothered picking it up. And then one day E-Day happens. He's like, oh no, I knew I was supposed to do something.
It was today.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, with it's not a container full of orphans. He had last year's calendar. That was the thing they were trying to hold the whole time. After activating the Emulsion countermeasure weapon, Adam disintegrated. This is really more of a plot contrivance. Mira does not dissolve at the end of Gears 3. She is killed in a much lower tech sort of way. She's riding this giant beetle monster. And then you shoot it with the Hammer of Dawn because the Hammer of Dawn, the space laser, is the get out of jail free card basically for the Gears series.
Yep.
She comes over after the button is hit and she's doing her supervillain speech telling Marcus wow, science, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You're a failure. And he just stabs her in the chest.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's just wow, it was so easy.
So, what do you say? You're immune to space lasers? Well, are you immune to a knife? And then
pretty much
in the chest.
Yeah. It's the guy who does Bender's voice as well. So just imagine it in that voice.
Yeah. Except there's a bunch of them. And every time she gets stabbed, someone comes out next to them and says, you call that a knife? And then puts a bigger knife into her. Until she has bigger and bigger knives all the way down her. Yeah.
Yeah. Marcus Fetus stabbed Mira in the chest with a huge metal spoon. Oof. The Emulsion and the Lambent both died out, so it did work, and the Locust disintegrated or crystallized. So it depends on the person, basically. What happened to Mira's daughter, Reyna, was still unknown at this time. She does appear in Gears of War 4. However, since, like I said earlier, the sequel trilogy isn't done, we won't get into that. But that is the end of the Locust, as we know them.
Beautiful.
And Emulsion, definitely, in the Gears series.
Nice.
Definitely the end of Emulsion. So there's no Emulsion in the later ones.
Not that I've seen, no.
Okay. I literally I haven't played 4 or 5, and I have seen nothing about 4 or 5 other than the fact that some people we joked a lot about gamers today. Obviously, it's not everybody who plays video games, but some people got really upset that they would dare to make a woman in a video game.
Yeah. Kate is tied into this whole thing. It's quite interesting, but I want the series to end before I
jump into that.
Exactly, like, because I have not played them. Frankly, just because I know so few people who own Xbones, I don't know anybody who has played Gears 4 or 5.
Yeah, I worked with some guy. He used to send me his sick like triple kills from PvP and stuff. It looked like fun. But Cody, who we played Among Us with, plays it.
Wall banging in.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's Gears, or that's the Locust rather, and Emulsion. I have been your host, Peter O'Donohue. You can find me at Pete O'Donohue on Twitter or at Loreboys Podcast on Instagram. Or if you go to theloreboys.com/about and click the TeePublic link, you can check out our official merch. Thank you to everybody who's made purchases thus far. If you have suggestions, please do so in the Discord. Even if you just want something up, there's no requirement to make a purchase. If you just think something would look goofy on a t-shirt or a cup, fucking tell us and I'll put it up. It takes 5 minutes.
We have a few designs up. Pete's been so awesome to put them up so far, but like really, like any title card that's out there, Pete could probably find a way to get it onto the thing of your choice. So just make some requests. We'll get them.
I thankfully kept all of my Photoshop files, so I can turn, I'm fairly certain, at least 99% of everything into a shirt or a mug or a phone case, whatever you want. TeePublic seems like a good starter platform for us. I like it a lot so far. So yeah, let us know what you want to see. And Ethan, if I wanted to put you on a t-shirt, how could I do that?
You can find me at Ethan the Deadman on Twitter. You can find us at Loreboys on Twitter. Please do follow us and just, I don't know, retweet our stuff or something. If you like the show, please tell your friends. Please leave us a review. It helps more than you guys think. A bunch of links are in the description, so you can just click there to get to iTunes. Or if you're using a podcasting app, you can just review us in that podcasting app. It's going to help out a ton. Jamie? You got anything to plug today?
Just go to loreboys/about. You'll find me on the Discord and the Facebook most of the time.
Cool.
Oh yeah, bro.
We also have Patreon, patreon.com/theloreboys. If you guys want to support us, totally not necessary. We love that you guys listen to the show. That's the biggest thing for us. But if you have a couple extra dollars and you want to send our way, we definitely appreciate it. Of course, if you don't trust Patreon, and honestly, who does? We have Loreboys Prime, our specialty service, where we offer you guys, a special service in return for a usually pretty special payment. So I can't say why we're collecting Pop Rocks. Certainly, it's not because we're waiting on any kind of incoming hurricanes, but we're trying to amass a good collection of Pop Rocks. So all our local stores have sworn to stop selling Pop Rocks to us. All our pictures are up in the local convenience stores and say do not sell Pop Rocks to these men or these boys. So we can't buy Pop Rocks locally anymore. So we need you guys to send us Pop Rocks, okay? But we're not asking for Pop Rocks for nothing, because we have been working on our own very special brand of gamer goo.
Oh.
That's right. Less sweat, more slime. Get your Loreboys gamer goo.
You can get your Pop Rocks, and your Loreboys gamer goo.
Do not mix Roppox with Loreboys gamer goo. It will cause a horrible fiery explosion. Just don't do it. That's our disclaimer, but it's useful for a bunch of other stuff, not consumption. Neither of them for consumption.
It'll keep the sweat off your hands. It'll also keep the firemen's water hoses off of the
flames.
Yes, it's really it's rough.
If you could open one of those packages as an oxygen-free environment, that'd probably be the safest way to do it.
Definitely a vacuum is your best bet if you have access to such an apparatus. And I suppose that, as much as anything, would constitute a Loreboys.
Boys.
Loreboys.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
My name's James. I skipped the last one, but I'll go balls deep into this one.
My name is Peter. I don't know the definitions of WoW, expansion, or balls deep.
My name's Ethan, and I am into the cactus and light bulbs game.
My name's
Peter.
James.
Whoops. Easy, fellas. One at a time.
My name's
now.
Peter. Go ahead, Peter.
You can both marry me. Another quick aside regarding bunk beds. A buddy of mine kept his bunk bed that had a futon underneath for a long time, and when we were in college, like this 2009, 2010 or whatever, we had gone out, gotten drunk, and he's a pretty notorious puker. but I didn't think anything of it.
Not someone you want to be sleeping on the bottom half of a bunk bed under.
Anyway, I was. And at some point in the night, I awoke. Like, I slept in the opposite direction, thankfully, because I was suspicious. At some point in the night, I did awake to hear the pitter-patter of some liquid pouring off the top bunk. So,
is that raindrops sprinkling my toesies while I sleep?
Thankfully, sleeping bag was covering me, and I didn't own it. But yeah.